Hey everybody, welcome back to Decode Tech. So we're back from the honeymoon and we're finally getting settled into the house, and so you can start to expect to see regularly scheduled videos again, probably around every Friday. So right before we left, I made a video on software and it talked a little bit about how software is made. Well, this series is going to be on how to make software and program a computer. So this is going to be a more detailed look into what actually goes into programming a computer. So I said that you take text files to program a computer and then convert it into machine code. Well, how does this work? These text files are referred to as source code files, and you run them through some type of translator, either a compiler or an interpreter or some form of both. So these compilers and interpreters are actually complex computer programs in and of themselves that specifically are meant to translate these programming languages into machine code. And whether you use a compiler or an interpreter has its advantages and disadvantages either way. So I was editing the video and I realized I missed even explaining what exactly compiling means and interpreting means and what some of the advantages and disadvantages are. So compiling is when you take all the source files and run them through the compiler. That'll give you an executable file which can be just run by the computer, and that executable file would be the machine code that it can understand. Now, a disadvantage of this is you can't put it between different platforms like Windows versus Mac very easily. You have to compile it for each separately. Now, the advantage is once it's compiled, you can run it over and over and you can share it very easily with someone else. Now, interpreted, it actually goes line by line and compiles it and then runs it right away. So the actual runtime is a little bit slower because it goes line by line, but then it's very portable because if you can install that interpreter on different platforms, then you can run that same code on many different platforms. And there's other advantages and disadvantages, but I just wanted to give a few examples and tell you a little bit of how they work and what the differences are. So now, how do you pick a programming language? Because if you get looking into it, there are many different programming languages. Well, they're used for specific tasks most times, or are best at in a specific area. For example, C# is Windows' main language nowadays, it seems like. Java is for Android development. Swift and Objective-C, two separate languages, are used for Apple, whether it's Mac OS or iOS. JavaScript is used in the web. If you're going to do web, you pretty much should know JavaScript. Now, don't confuse JavaScript with Java, two separate things, not sure why they're named the same. Unhandy. And then there's languages like Python that are just general purpose languages that are good for a lot of different things, all the way from web development to machine learning, which are both really popular things in today's day and age. But all these languages either need to be compiled or interpreted for the computer to run them. For this tutorial series, I'm going to be teaching the Python programming language for several reasons. It's one of the most fast-growing languages right now. Its syntax, or how it's structured, is a lot closer to English than machine code, which they refer to that as a high-level language, and it has all kinds of different use cases. Now, once you learn the basics of programming with a language, you can apply it to pretty much all the languages. That's the nice thing. Once you put in the time to learn one, the rest come a lot easier because all the core concepts are pretty much the same. Python is considered an interpreted language, although technically it's compiled and interpreted, but most people refer to it as an interpreted language. So to get Python on our computer, we have to install the Python interpreter. So in the next video in the series, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be getting the Python interpreter installed on our computer and setting it up so we can run our first program. So that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you're going to stick around and learn how to program with Python. If you haven't already, I recommend you check out my How a Computer Works series, especially if you're serious about programming a computer, because the better you know how a computer works fundamentally, the better programmer you can ultimately be. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you know someone that might find this interesting, please share the video. Let me know in the comments down below if you've programmed anything, and if so, what you've done. And if you're not already, why not consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this? I hope to see you all in the next video.